I still remember the day I checked my bank account after quitting my 9-to-5. Barely enough to cover rent. Everyone thought I was crazy for walking away from a steady paycheck, but I knew there had to be more than trading my time for money until I turned 65. Fast forward 18 months. I've built 5 different income streams that now generate more than my old corporate salary. And I'm about to show you exactly how I did it. Real numbers, real failures, and the exact roadmap that changed everything for me. Curious how someone with an empty bank account managed to completely flip their financial situation in less than 2 years? The financial roller coaster of being a one-trick creator. Remember when that one big YouTuber lost 80% of their income overnight because of an algorithm change? That could be you if you're banking on just one way to make money online. Let's get real for a second. The creator economy is basically built on quicksand. One day you're crushing it, the next day you're frantically checking your analytics, wondering what went wrong. It's happened to pretty much everyone who's tried to make a living online. Remember when Instagram suddenly decided to hide likes? Or when Facebook slashed organic reach for pages to basically nothing? Or how about when YouTube decided certain topics weren't advertiser-friendly, and creators saw their revenue tank overnight? These aren't just random horror stories. They're the reality of putting all your eggs in one platform basket. Take what happened to gaming creators when Twitch suddenly changed their revenue split from 70-30 to 50-50 for many streamers. Literally overnight, thousands of full-time creators lost a massive chunk of their monthly income without any warning or way to prepare. But honestly, I didn't really get it until it happened to me. I still remember staring at my phone in complete shock one random Tuesday morning. My primary income source, the one I'd been relying on to pay my rent, buy groceries, basically fund my entire life, had dropped by 67% in a single month. Not because I did anything wrong. Not because my content quality tanked. Simply because an algorithm decided my content wasn't going to be pushed out as much anymore. Here, let me show you what that looked like in real numbers. This screenshot from my dashboard shows I was making about $4,300 a month from my main platform. Pretty decent, right? I'd built up to that over 2 years of consistent work. I was feeling pretty good about things. Then boom, the very next month, that same dashboard showed $1,409 for doing the exact same work, creating the exact same content, with the same audience size. Can you imagine your boss walking in and saying, "Hey, we're cutting your salary by 2/3 effective immediately"? No reason, just because. Because that's basically what happened. And the worst part? I had absolutely no backup plan, no safety net, no other significant income sources to fall back on. I'd gotten comfortable with that steady income and figured it would just keep growing. Spoiler alert, that's not how the internet works. That financial shock forced me to really look at how vulnerable I was. I was basically one algorithm update away from financial disaster at all times. And it turns out, I'm not alone in this experience. According to a survey by The Tilt, 72% of content creators experience significant income fluctuations month to month, with an average variance of 40% between their highest and lowest earning months. Another study found that 64% of full-time creators have considered quitting due to financial instability in the past year alone. Even more eye-opening? A report from Signal Fire revealed that while there are over 50 million people who consider themselves creators, only about 4% make enough to support themselves financially on a consistent basis. And of those who do make it to full-time status, nearly a third will experience at least 1 month per year where their income drops below minimum wage levels. These aren't just numbers, they're dreams getting crushed, people going back to jobs they hate, and talent being wasted because our industry has a massive stability problem. I remember sitting on my couch after seeing those numbers, having a full-on existential crisis. Should I just give up? Go back to a real job? Was this whole creator thing just a massive mistake? I'd sunk 2 years of my life into building this, and it felt like it was all crumbling because of some invisible change I had no control over. But here's where things get interesting. Instead of quitting, which, not gonna lie, I seriously considered, I decided to take a completely different approach. What if, instead of trying to figure out the algorithm or doubling down on one platform, I spread my income around? What if I built my business so that no single platform or income source could tank my entire financial life? It wasn't an overnight fix. Let's be super clear about that. It took months of trial and error, some embarrassing failures, more on that later, and completely rethinking how I approached my content business. But slowly, things started to change. I went from having one income stream that could vanish at any moment to building 5 solid revenue sources that work together. When one is down, the others keep the lights on. When one is thriving, I can reinvest in growing the others. So how much does each income stream actually contribute to replacing my 9-to-5 salary now? Let me break it down for you with the real numbers. Looking at this pie chart of my current income, you can see YouTube ad revenue makes up about 22% of my monthly income. Affiliate marketing contributes around 18%. My digital products bring in roughly a quarter of my revenue at 26%. Brand sponsorships are my biggest slice at 29%. And coaching, which I never even planned to offer, rounds things out with about 5% of my total income. The beautiful thing? If any one of these completely disappeared tomorrow, which could absolutely happen, I'd still be making more than I did at my corporate job. That's the power of income diversification for creators. It's not about finding one perfect revenue stream. It's about building a network of smaller streams that together create a financial safety net no single platform can destroy. But I didn't figure this out overnight, and I definitely made some painful mistakes along the way that cost me thousands of dollars and countless hours of wasted effort. When I think about how many creators are still operating with just one income source, it honestly makes me nervous for them, because I've been there, and that financial roller coaster is not a fun ride. My rock bottom, from corporate comfort to $237.64. The day I quit my job, my boss said something I'll never forget. "You'll be back in 3 months when the money runs out." That prediction haunted me as I stared at my first month's bank balance as a creator, $237.64. Barely enough for groceries, let alone rent. Before becoming the person talking to a camera, I had what most would call a real job. Software engineer with all the perks. Stable 70K salary, comprehensive health insurance, and the kind of job security my parents bragged about at family gatherings. "My kid works in tech," they'd say with that proud parent smile. Corporate comfort slowly suffocated me, like a memory foam mattress that feels amazing at first, but traps you throughout the night. Each morning meant the same gray cubicle, beige walls, and mind-numbing small talk about weekend plans that never sounded as exciting as advertised. I'd secretly watch creator videos during lunch breaks, daydreaming about doing something meaningful. Every Sunday night, my body staged its own protest with that unmistakable knot in my stomach announcing Monday's approach. I made a plan. Save 6 months of expenses, build my channel on the side, then quit. Instead, I barely saved 2 months' worth before jumping ship. My resignation was both terrifying and exhilarating, hands shaking as I squeaked out, "I'm leaving to pursue content creation." My manager's face showed a mix of confusion and secondhand embarrassment before dropping that 3 months prediction that would haunt me for the next year. The freedom high lasted about a week before financial reality crashed down. Every purchase became a moral crisis, while my videos struggled to break 20 views. My entire audience consisted of my mom, college roommate, and apparently some random Australians. Hi guys! Concern from loved ones evolved rapidly from gentle worry to full intervention territory. Dad greeted me with, "Checked LinkedIn lately?" My best friend sent job listings just in case, while my girlfriend mentioned her company's great benefits at least 3 times per date night. My early monetization attempts were humbling. Custom Canva templates took 40 hours to create and earned $12.75, about 32 cents per hour, both mathematically correct and emotionally devastating. When Amazon approved my affiliate account, I celebrated with a happy dance. First month's earnings, $1.87. Not even coffee money. My ex-boss's prediction echoed louder. The psychological impact was intense. Morning anxiety became my unwelcome roommate. There's something uniquely terrifying about watching your savings drain while subscriber counts barely move. I went from software engineer, a title even grandma understood, to something I couldn't easily explain at family reunions. By month 3, I was seriously considering proving my boss right. I had updated my resume and drafted the digital equivalent of a white flag email to my old manager. Then came a small shift. One video about personal finance mistakes reached 2,500 views. Not viral by any means, but 100 times my average. A few comments mentioned finding it helpful. This tiny win provided just enough fuel to continue. I began treating content creation as actual work rather than a hobby. I researched successful approaches in my niche, committed to a consistent schedule, and embraced authenticity over perfection. Turns out, people connect more with realness than polished content. The financial progression was slow but encouraging. Month 4 brought $127 from affiliate links and initial ad payments. Month 5, $301. Month 6, $698. Still far from my old salary, but undeniably moving upward. Month 7 marked the turning point when I launched a 22-page budgeting PDF guide priced at $17. By week's end, 62 copies sold, pushing me past $1,000 monthly income for the first time, $1,054 exactly. The validation mattered more than the money. Maybe I wasn't completely delusional after all. My first year earnings tell the story. Month 1, $2. Month 3, $28. Month 4, $127. Month 5, $341. Month 6, $698. Month 7, $1,054. Month 8, $2,286. Month 9, $1,832. Month 2,407. Month 11, $3,195. Month 12, $391. The journey wasn't linear. Some weeks brought nothing while others surprised me with unexpected spikes. I documented everything in an embarrassingly detailed, color-coded spreadsheet where each small increase felt like winning the lottery. What I didn't expect was how my mindset would transform. My success journal became my emotional anchor during tough periods. Recording even the smallest wins helped fight the persistent imposter syndrome that whispered I should return to a real job. That simple practice carried me through the darkest moments when giving up seemed like the only logical choice, helping me find determination when my confidence wavered most. Income stream number 1. YouTube ad revenue. The brutal truth about RPM. Those tiny wins I recorded in my journal were crucial, but nothing compared to what happened when I cracked the YouTube monetization code. Ever wondered why some creators with modest view counts drive BMWs while others with millions of views still have day jobs? The secret isn't in getting more views. It's in understanding a 3-letter acronym most creators completely ignore. RPM. When I hit the YouTube monetization threshold, the famous 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, I thought I was set. I remember refreshing my YouTube Studio dashboard like a maniac, watching those first few pennies roll in. But then reality hit me like a ton of bricks. My first monetized month brought in a grand total of $17.32. For all those hours of filming, editing, and stressing, I made less than a dinner at Chipotle. Talk about a reality check. I was getting decent views too, around 30,000 that month. But the math was depressing. That's roughly 58 cents per 1,000 views. At that rate, I'd need millions of views just to pay my phone bill. The RPM reality check. RPM stands for revenue per 1,000 views. Basically how much money you earn for every 1,000 people who watch your videos. Here's the wild part. RPM rates can vary by up to 20 times depending on what type of content you create. 2 channels with identical view counts could have one creator making $200 while the other makes $4,000. I've got the receipts to prove it. My makeup tutorial videos were getting about 10,000 views each with an RPM of $1.20. Meanwhile, my random video about budgeting apps that I made as a one-off was getting fewer views but had an RPM of $7.50. The math was simple. 5,000 views on a finance video made more money than 20,000 views on a makeup video. This completely changed my understanding of YouTube economics. View count is just one piece of the puzzle. What really matters is what those viewers are worth to advertisers. The cold, hard truth is that some audiences are simply more valuable than others. Advertisers pay premium rates to reach viewers interested in finance, technology, business, and education because these audiences typically have higher purchasing power. After this discovery, I did a deep dive into RPM rates across different niches. Beauty and entertainment videos averaged 1 to 3 RPM, while finance content hit 5 to 20 RPM. Tech reviews were solid at $4 to $8, and educational content fetched $5 consistently. The difference was dramatic. The strategic pivot. Chasing views on YouTube is like running after a mirage in the desert. The more you chase, the further away real success seems to get. Instead of continuing this exhausting pursuit, I made a strategic pivot that felt risky at the time. I leaned into my background in personal finance. I started creating content about money management, investing basics, and financial literacy. Topics I knew about but hadn't focused on because they seemed boring compared to viral-friendly content. The first month after the pivot was nerve-wracking. My views actually dropped by about 20% because I was building a new audience. But here's where it gets interesting. My revenue doubled with fewer views. I wasn't just making more per view. I was attracting a completely different caliber of advertisers. Instead of makeup brands and fast fashion, I had investment platforms and financial services paying premium rates. What's even wilder is how seasonal factors affected my earnings. During the holiday shopping season, my RPM jumped to almost $15 because advertisers were competing for ad space. I saw my December numbers blow October's out of the water with the same view count. Hidden factors that boost RPM. Audience geography plays a huge role too. Content watched primarily by US, UK, and Canadian audiences generated significantly higher RPMs than videos popular in other regions. Demographics were equally surprising. Videos that attracted viewers over 25 years old consistently generated higher RPMs than content popular with teens, regardless of the topic. This explained why some creators with massive Gen Z followings were still struggling financially despite millions of views. After 6 months of strategic content creation focused on higher RPM topics, my channel was generating 1,200 up plus monthly with just 83,000 views. That's an RPM of about $14.50, almost 25 times higher than where I started. And I wasn't creating content I hated, I was just being more intentional about which interests I focused on. In real numbers, the transformation looked like this. First month, 30,000 views, $17.32 earned, 58 RPM. Current month, 83,000 views, 1,207 earned, $4.50 RPM. The view count only increased about 2.7 times, but my revenue increased nearly 70 times. This strategy works regardless of your niche. You don't have to abandon your passion. The key is finding the intersection of topics you enjoy that also command higher ad rates. For example, if you're in the fitness space, content about premium home gym equipment attracts advertisers willing to pay top dollar. Once you understand how to optimize for RPM, your entire approach to content creation shifts. Instead of chasing viral moments, you can build a sustainable business with a smaller, more engaged audience. Quality over quantity becomes your mantra, and YouTube becomes a viable income stream rather than a popularity contest. Income stream number 2, affiliate marketing. From 0 conversions to 4-figure months. Quality over quantity worked wonders for my YouTube revenue, but I was totally missing a goldmine right in front of me. Would you believe there's an $18.5 billion industry I was completely ignoring while creating videos? For 3 straight months, I promoted products I genuinely loved to thousands of viewers and earned exactly $0. Talk about a confidence crusher. Affiliate marketing seemed like the easiest win ever. I was already recommending products in my videos, budgeting apps, investing platforms, my favorite money tracking spreadsheets. Why not get paid when people actually bought them? The concept is super simple. I promote a product with my special link, viewers click and purchase, and I get a commission. No inventory, no shipping headaches, just passive income flowing in while I sleep. But my reality was embarrassing. Dropping Amazon links without mentioning them, mumbling about them at the end of videos when nobody was watching, and getting rejected from premium programs because my channel didn't meet quality standards. I was sending hundreds of clicks to companies and making absolutely zilch in return. My conversion rate wasn't just low, it was non-existent. I remember the exact moment everything changed. I was filming my 15th best budgeting apps video, robotically listing features when I stopped mid-sentence. Who was I actually helping? Nobody. I deleted the entire script and started fresh. This wasn't about passive income. It was about active recommendation. I needed to create content specifically designed to solve real problems. This mindset shift transformed my approach completely. Instead of seeing affiliate links as magic money generators, I began treating them as solutions within strategic content frameworks. My conversion rates jumped from 0 to matching industry standards, 0.5 to 1%, within weeks. When I added email marketing to the mix, that rate skyrocketed to 5.2%, literally 5 to 10 times higher than average. I studied successful affiliate marketers and discovered they weren't randomly mentioning products. They were creating entire content structures designed to build trust and drive conversions. The strategy that broke my $0 streak? Creating videos specifically structured around solving real problems, where the affiliate product was the natural hero. Comparison videos worked brilliantly too. When I created Budget App A versus Budget App B, which saved me more money, my conversion rate jumped because viewers were already in a decision-making mindset. They weren't passively watching content, they were actively choosing between options. The true game changer was my dedicated review framework that doubled my conversion rates. 1. Start with a specific personal problem, creating immediate connection. 2. Share my frustrating journey with failed solutions, building credibility. 3. Tell my discovery story. I was skeptical at first. 4. Give honest pros and cons, dramatically increases trust. 5. Share specific results with actual numbers and screenshots. 6. Address common objections, price, learning curve, alternatives. 7. Include a time-limited incentive when available. This structure works because it mirrors the actual purchase journey viewers go through. It doesn't feel like marketing. It feels like helpful advice from a friend who's done the research. Those selective affiliate programs that rejected me, 6 months later, they reached out to me. I developed something more valuable than a big audience. A high-converting audience that trusted my recommendations. Premium finance and tech companies offering 30 to 50% commissions replaced my 1 to 10% Amazon links, and my affiliate income jumped from pocket change to 4 figures monthly. Collaborations supercharged everything. When I partnered with other finance creators and we promoted each other's affiliate links, my conversion rates increased by nearly 70%. Makes total sense considering 69% of consumers rely heavily on influencer recommendations. User-generated content became another powerful tool. When I started featuring screenshots and testimonials from viewers who purchased through my links, trust skyrocketed. About 79% of consumers say UGC significantly influences their purchasing decisions, which explains the jump in my conversion rates. I got obsessive about tracking metrics, not just clicks and conversions, but which videos drove the highest value customers and which products had the lowest refund rates. This data helped me focus on promoting the right income stream. Number 3, digital products. The $4,000 launch that almost didn't happen. All that data tracking for affiliate marketing sparked an idea, but the file sat untouched in my maybe someday folder for months. What happens when the thing you're most terrified to sell becomes your biggest moneymaker? My first digital product made $4,000 in its launch week, but it almost never saw the light of day. I was obsessively tracking my affiliate commissions when I noticed something. People kept asking the same questions about my spreadsheet system. Can I get a copy of that? How did you set that up? It was just a nerdy tracking tool I'd made for myself, nothing fancy. But those questions planted a seed. Maybe this spreadsheet could become more than my personal tracking system. Digital products are seriously genius when you think about it. You create something once, and you can sell it unlimited times with basically no extra cost. No inventory, no shipping headaches, and profit margins that would make traditional business owners weep with joy. We're talking 90 to 95% profit after payment processing fees. But here's the thing. I almost chickened out completely. My inner critic was working overtime. Who would pay for a spreadsheet when they could just make one themselves? I'm not a real expert. People are going to ask for refunds and leave nasty comments. That voice in my head was loud. I stood at the edge of a cliff, finger hovering over the delete button multiple times, not realizing I was about to erase what would become a gold mine. The irony? That same spreadsheet I nearly deleted is now part of a digital product empire that makes up over a quarter of my monthly income. What started as, "I'll just clean up my spreadsheet and add instructions," evolved into a substantial project. I invested about $420 in roughly 65 hours creating what began as a simple spreadsheet. The transformation included tutorial videos, design elements, and comprehensive instructions. Way more work than I initially expected. Then came the pricing dilemma. I planned to charge just $17, but after researching the e-learning market, projected to hit $840 billion by 2030, I experimented with 3 price points: $27, $47, and $67. The results floored me. The $67 tier outsold the others by nearly 3 to 1. People actually valued the product more when it cost more. This pricing discovery transformed my entire digital product strategy. The launch itself taught me unexpected lessons. My fancy social media campaign with graphics and countdown timers? Total flop. What actually worked was a simple email sequence to my tiny list of 840 subscribers, focusing on specific problems my product solved. I also offered a 30-minute live workshop demonstrating my system, which had a 32% conversion rate. That 1-hour live stream generated over $2,100 in sales. Some strategies backfired, though. My 48-hour discount code made people feel pressured, and my early buyer affiliate program confused everyone. Total disaster. The most surreal moment was waking up on day 3 to find overnight sales had pushed me over $3,000. By week's end, final sales hit $4,076 from 78 customers. For a product I almost didn't release. The feedback surprised me too. Customers weren't buying a spreadsheet, they were buying confidence in a proven system. Looking back, I'd make several changes. I'd start with a higher base price, $87 instead of $67, and create a premium tier with support calls at $197. Customer feedback suggested at least 15 to 20% would have gladly paid for that extra help. Analysis revealed something fascinating. While my YouTube audience is primarily 25 to 34-year-olds, my highest paying customers were actually 45 to 54. They purchased faster, complained less, and sent more appreciative messages. This insight led me to create products specifically targeting that demographic. Platforms matter too. I started on Gumroad because it was easy, but their fees ate into profits. Eventually, I moved to Teachable for courses and kept simpler downloads on Etsy, where the marketplace exposure created a whole new customer acquisition channel. My latest digital product launch generated over $12,000 in the first month, miles beyond that terrified initial launch. The secret wasn't better marketing or a bigger audience. It was understanding that people aren't buying your PDF or course, they're buying a transformation, a solution to their problem. Most creators approach digital products backward. They create something cool, then try convincing people to buy it. The smarter approach is identifying what your audience already wants, then creating exactly that solution. That's why my accidental spreadsheet worked so well. It solved a real problem people were already expressing. Here's what I'd tell myself when my finger was hovering over that delete button. That digital product you're terrified to launch might just change everything. Your knowledge has value, even if it seems basic to you. Income stream number 4, brand sponsorships. Inside the negotiation process. Speaking of undervaluing your expertise, let me tell you about the laughable $50 offer that had me doing cartwheels around my apartment. Fast forward to last month when I declined $3,500 for basically the same work. What exactly happened between those two moments that completely flipped the script on my sponsorship value? The answer isn't what most creators think. When that first sponsorship email landed in my inbox, I nearly fell out of my chair from excitement. Someone wanted to pay me to talk about their product. I didn't even negotiate, just replied with an enthusiastic yes before they could change their mind. Looking back, I literally created a full 10-minute dedicated video about their budgeting app for less money than I'd make during a single shift at a fast food restaurant. Talk about awkward. Here's what's really happening behind those perfectly polished sponsorship segments you see in videos. Brands, typically approach creators with intentionally low initial offers, expecting negotiation. They have maximum budgets way higher than their first offer, but they're banking on creators, especially newer ones, having absolutely no idea what their content is actually worth. And honestly, most of us don't. My bargain basement rates continued for months. I was thrilled to get $200 for a 60-second integration that took me 3 hours to script, film, and edit. Meanwhile, another creator in my niche with a similar-sized audience was charging $1,200 for the exact same deliverable. The difference? She understood how sponsorships actually work, while I was pricing based on what I thought my content was worth, which, thanks to lovely imposter syndrome, wasn't much. The turning point came when I started tracking engagement metrics obsessively. I realized something that completely transformed my approach. Brands care way more about engagement than subscriber count. This is crucial. While many creators fixate on hitting subscriber milestones, thinking that's the key to bigger sponsorship deals, I discovered that my 5% comment rate and 8% like ratio were actually my most valuable assets. Let me break down what sponsors are actually paying for, based on my research and experience. For creators with 1,000 to 10,000 subscribers, sponsorship rates typically range from $200 to $2,500 for a dedicated video. Once you cross the 100,000 subscriber threshold, those rates jump dramatically to $5,000 to $50,000 or more. But here's the kicker. These ranges are super broad, because engagement matters more than size. For example, a beauty channel with 5,000 highly engaged subscribers can often command higher rates than a gaming channel with 20,000 passive subscribers. One sponsor actually told me they'd rather work with my channel at 35,000 subscribers with high engagement than another channel with 150,000 subscribers but minimal audience interaction. That conversation completely changed how I viewed my channel's value. I started incorporating a cost-per-view model into my negotiations, which is common practice in the industry. Instead of accepting flat rates, I began charging between 2 and 5 cents per average view. This allowed me to scale my pricing based on performance rather than arbitrary numbers. When brands pushed back, I'd simply show them my engagement metrics and conversion data from previous sponsorships. This leads me to the negotiation framework I developed that consistently increases initial offers by 30 to 50%. First, I never accept the initial offer, even if it seems generous. Second, I always counter with specific metrics that justify my higher rate. Third, I include past conversion data from similar campaigns. This is absolute gold to sponsors. And fourth, I offer additional value rather than dropping my price, like extending the promotion to my email list or social platforms. Let me walk you through a real negotiation from last year. A fitness app initially offered me $800 for a 60-second integration. Instead of accepting, I countered with data showing my fitness content averaged 42% higher engagement than my other videos. I included screenshots from a previous fitness sponsorship that generated a 4.8% click-through rate, well above industry average. I then proposed $1,400 with the added value of 2 Instagram stories. We settled at $1,250, a 56% increase from their initial offer. What's fascinating is that subscriber count, which most creators obsess over, is actually 5th or 6th on the list of what brands truly care about. Here's what really matters. First, audience engagement, comments, likes, shares. Second, audience demographics, age, location, income. Third, content relevance to their product. Fourth, previous conversion metrics. And fifth, subscriber count only becomes a major factor at extremely large numbers. Value-based pricing transformed my sponsorship income. Instead of comparing myself to other creators, I started focusing on the unique value I could deliver to brands. When a skincare company approached me about a sponsorship, I showed them that my audience was predominantly women aged 25 to 35 in major urban areas with disposable income, their exact target demographic. That demographic match was worth far more to them than working with a larger channel with a less relevant audience. The results speak for themselves. My average sponsorship rate increased from $200 in my first year to over $2,800 now, despite my channel only growing about 4x in size during that same period. That's a 14x increase in sponsorship rates with just a 4x audience growth. The math is clear. Understanding your value matters way more than subscriber count. What's even more surprising is how sponsorship types affect rates. Dedicated videos command the highest rates due to increased production time and deeper audience engagement. Integrated mentions in videos on related topics convert better than random placements. Product reviews build the most trust, but require the most authenticity. Understanding these distinctions allowed me to package my offerings more strategically. Let's get super specific about what creators at different levels can actually charge. With 1,000 to 10,000 subscribers, you're looking at about $200 to $850 per integration. At 10,000 to 50,000 subscribers, rates typically jump to $500 to $3,000. Creators with 50,000 to 100,000 subscribers can command $1,000 to $5,000 per sponsorship. And those with 500,000 to 1 million subscribers, they're averaging around $16,000 per deal. But these are just averages. I know creators with 15,000 subscribers charging $2,500 per integration because they've built a reputation for driving insane conversion rates. Meanwhile, some creators with 100,000 plus subscribers struggle to get $1,000 because they haven't learned to communicate their value effectively. It all comes down to understanding what makes your audience uniquely valuable to specific brands. The biggest mistake I made early on was not creating a professional media kit. Now I have a simple 3-page document showcasing my key metrics, audience demographics, previous sponsorship results, and testimonials from brands I've worked with. This single document increased my average sponsorship rate by 40% almost overnight because it positioned me as a professional rather than just another creator, happy for any paid opportunity. Income stream number 5, coaching and consulting, the unexpected moneymaker. That media kit might have boosted my credibility with brands, but there was one income stream I actively avoided until my audience basically forced it on me. The coaching industry is projected to hit $20 billion by 2025, yet I was turning away money because I couldn't shake the feeling I was about to be exposed as a total fraud. It all started with this DM that popped up after I posted a tutorial about optimizing YouTube thumbnails. Someone wrote, "Love your content. Any chance I could pick your brain for 30 minutes? Happy to pay for your time." My immediate reaction? Absolute panic. Who was I to coach anyone? I nearly sent back a polite no thanks when I realized something. This person was willing to value my knowledge at actual dollars, not just a like or comment. So I reluctantly agreed, charging a measly $25 for the session because I was convinced I'd disappoint them. I spent hours over-preparing, created a whole slide deck for a 30-minute call, and still felt like I was about to throw up right before we connected. The entire session I was waiting for them to call me out or ask something I couldn't answer. But here's the wild part. They were blown away. They immediately booked another session and then referred a friend. Before I knew it, I had 3 regular clients paying me for something I was doing for free in my comment section for years. Let me be super honest about why I resisted coaching for so long. Every time I considered it, this voice in my head would scream, "But I'm not a real expert. What if they ask me something I don't know? What if they realize they paid for advice from someone who's still figuring stuff out themselves?" Classic imposter syndrome, right? I was convinced that charging people for my knowledge meant I needed to have all the answers all the time. The reality? People weren't coming to me for perfect textbook answers they could Google. They wanted my perspective based on actual experience. The messy, trial and error journey I'd been documenting on my channel. After those first few clients, I realized I needed some structure. I couldn't just wing it on every call. So I developed a simple framework, a pre-call questionnaire to understand their specific challenges, a 15-minute prep session where I'd outline talking points, the actual coaching session, and then a follow-up email with action items. This system helped me feel more confident and gave my clients concrete takeaways. Then came the pricing evolution, which was honestly the most uncomfortable part of this whole journey. Remember that initial $25 hourly rate? After my first 5 clients, I bumped it to $75, terrified people would laugh at the increase. Nobody blinked. 3 months later, I moved to $150 per hour. Again, not a single objection. Today, I don't even offer hourly coaching anymore. I've structured everything into packages. My starter package is $397 for an initial strategy session, plus 2 follow-ups, while my premium package goes for $997 and includes monthly sessions for 3 months, plus Voxer support between calls. These packages actually create better results for clients because they're committed for a longer period, which means they actually implement the advice. What's fascinating about the coaching industry is how experience and niche can dramatically affect pricing. Entry-level coaches charge around $25 per hour where I started, while experienced coaches command anywhere from $100 to $500 plus hourly. And I learned this pricing has almost nothing to do with qualifications. It's about perceived value and the specific results you help clients achieve. The client retention numbers surprised me the most. I expected people would take what they needed and move on after a session or 2. Instead, my average client stays for 4.3 months. My longest running client has been with me for over a year, which initially made 0 sense to me. Why keep paying when they likely know everything I could teach them? Here's what I discovered. Ongoing accountability is often more valuable than the initial knowledge transfer. My clients aren't paying just for information. They're paying for someone to check in, challenge them, and celebrate their wins. So what's the brutal truth about coaching that most creators won't tell you? It's not really about being the smartest person in the room. The most successful coaches aren't necessarily the most knowledgeable. They're the ones who excel at asking the right questions and providing clear frameworks for implementation. Let me break down the actual numbers. I currently work with 9 active coaching clients. At my current rates, that generates about $2,700 monthly, requiring approximately 6 hours of direct client time plus about 2 hours of prep and follow-up work. That's roughly $337 per hour when you factor in all the time. But here's where most creators get coaching totally wrong. They focus only on the hourly rate without considering client acquisition costs. Those free discovery calls that don't convert, that's unpaid time. The content you create specifically to attract coaching clients, that's a cost. The platform fees from booking systems and payment processors, those add up too. For me, I spend about 3 hours per month on content specifically targeted toward potential coaching clients, plus about 2 hours on discovery calls with prospects who don't convert. When I factor these costs in, my actual hourly rate drops to around $245, still incredible, but significantly less than the surface level calculation. The profit margins are still remarkable though, about 95% after payment processing fees since there are virtually no other direct costs involved. Compare that to digital products where you might need to pay for design, development, or platform fees. What makes coaching particularly powerful as an income stream is that it doesn't require a massive audience. While my YouTube channel and other platforms help attract clients, I've found that client referrals now account for nearly 70% of my new coaching relationships. One satisfied client typically refers 1.5 new prospects on average. I've also discovered that creating a community around my coaching practice dramatically improves retention rates. Simply connecting my clients with each other through a private community has increased my average client lifespan by nearly 40%. Another strategy that's worked incredibly well is offering tiered pricing models. When I introduced my premium package alongside the basic option, I expected maybe 10% of clients would choose the higher tier. To my surprise, nearly 65% opt for the premium package, proving that many clients prefer comprehensive support, even at a higher price point. The most effective client acquisition strategy I've found isn't flashy webinars or complex funnels. It's simply offering free introductory sessions to build trust. My conversion rate from free 15-minute consultations to paid coaching stands at about 38%, which is significantly higher than the industry average. The invisible barrier? How imposter syndrome nearly destroyed my business. Those free 15-minute consultations might have converted at 38%, but what my clients never saw were the hours I spent afterward questioning my worth. Did you know that 84% of entrepreneurs experience imposter syndrome, yet most of us suffer in complete silence? My external success was growing exponentially, while my internal dialogue was systematically dismantling everything I'd built. Let me take you back to that Tuesday morning. My finger hovered over the delete channel button as tears streamed down my face. I had just finished a coaching call where a client told me I had completely transformed their business strategy. They were seeing real results. Their email list had doubled, and they'd landed their first sponsorship. Yet somehow, in my mind, I was a complete fraud who had just gotten lucky. That morning wasn't just a random bad day. It was the culmination of months of psychological warfare I'd been waging against myself. See, as each income stream grew, so did this persistent voice in my head telling me I didn't deserve any of it. The more successful I became, the louder that voice got. When my YouTube ad revenue first started picking up, I convinced myself it was just a temporary algorithm boost. When brands began reaching out for sponsorships, I was certain they'd eventually realize I wasn't qualified enough. And every time a coaching client signed on, I'd spend hours over-preparing because I was terrified they'd discover I was just making everything up as I went along. The worst part? This wasn't just happening in my head. It was actually hurting my business in real, measurable ways. I turned down a $2,800 sponsorship opportunity because I was convinced my content wasn't good enough for the brand. I delayed launching my second digital product for 3 months because I kept finding flaws that needed fixing. And I regularly undercharged for coaching because deep down, I didn't believe I deserved higher rates. You might be wondering what imposter syndrome actually looks like in daily life. For me, it showed up as dismissing my achievements as pure luck. When a video performed well, I'd tell myself anyone could have made that. I constantly compared myself to other creators with similar subscriber counts who seemed to have it all together, while I felt like I was barely keeping my head above water. I'd also find myself in these exhausting over-preparation cycles. Before every client call, I'd spend hours researching, creating extra materials, and practically writing a dissertation, all because I was terrified of being asked a question I couldn't answer. What should have been a 1-hour call with 30 minutes of prep turned into a 5-hour ordeal when you counted all the anxiety-driven work beforehand. The real kicker? My audience and clients never saw any of these issues. From the outside, everything looked great. I was hitting milestones, growing my income, and building a reputation in my niche. But inside my head, I was constantly waiting for everyone to realize I was a fraud. So what was the turning point? It wasn't some magical epiphany or breakthrough coaching session. It was actually much simpler than that. After almost deleting my channel that Tuesday, I reached out to another creator I respected and just told the truth. I confessed how I was feeling, expecting them to confirm my worst fears. Instead, they laughed, not at me, but with recognition. "Welcome to the club," they said. "We all feel like that." That conversation led to others, and I discovered something surprising. Practically every successful entrepreneur I admired was dealing with the exact same feelings. The difference wasn't that they didn't experience imposter syndrome. It was that they had developed strategies to work through it rather than letting it paralyze them. I realized that recognizing imposter syndrome as a common experience among entrepreneurs was the first step to feeling less isolated. As Chantel Cohen suggests, understanding that these feelings are shared by most entrepreneurs can be incredibly empowering when confronting self-doubt. So how did I actually start moving past this invisible barrier? First, I created what Leanne Calderwood calls a success journal, basically a document where I tracked every win, no matter how small. Client testimonials, positive comments, milestones reached, everything went into this document. On days when the self-doubt was overwhelming, I'd open it up and remind myself that these weren't flukes. They were proof of consistent value I was providing. Next, I built a support network of fellow creators, people I could be completely honest with about my struggles. These weren't just cheerleaders who told me everything was great. They were peers who understood the journey and could offer perspective when I couldn't see the forest for the trees. I also learned to reframe my internal dialogue. When that voice would say, "You're not qualified enough," I'd counter with, "I'm a few steps ahead of the people I'm helping, and that's all that matters." As Leanne Calderwood emphasizes, you don't need a fancy degree or a massive social media following to be an expert. Being those few steps ahead of those you serve is entirely sufficient. The most powerful shift, though, was changing my focus from my own insecurities to the value I was providing others. I started collecting screenshots of messages from people who'd been helped by my content in a special folder on my desktop. Whenever I felt like a fraud, I'd open that folder and remind myself that regardless of how I felt about my qualifications, I was genuinely helping real people with real problems. I also started tracking the actual impact of these mental barriers on my business. When I realized imposter syndrome had cost me approximately $14,000 in declined opportunities and undercharging over 6 months, it became much easier to challenge those thoughts. Money talks and the financial impact of my self-doubt was screaming. Another game changer was adopting what experts call a growth mindset. Instead of viewing challenges as proof that I wasn't cut out for entrepreneurship, I started seeing them as learning opportunities. Each stumble wasn't evidence of my inadequacy. It was simply part of the process of getting better. Here's what's wild. As I implemented these strategies, my business didn't just recover psychologically. It exploded financially. My income increased by 47% in the next quarter, not because I was working harder, but because I was no longer holding myself back. I raised my coaching rates, pursued bigger sponsorships, and launched products without months of self-sabotaging delays. Michael Kwan, who achieved financial independence, emphasizes that a strong mindset and intentional actions are crucial for overcoming these psychological barriers. And he's absolutely right. All the strategy in the world won't help if your own mind is working against you. Look, I won't pretend I've completely conquered imposter syndrome. It still shows up, especially when I'm pushing into new territory or taking bigger risks. The difference is that now I recognize it for what it is. Just a feeling, not a fact. The unexpected downside. It's like an annoying backseat driver that I acknowledge but don't let. Recognizing imposter syndrome was just the first hurdle. But what happens when your perfectly planned income stream becomes a money pit instead of a moneymaker? Behind those glossy income reports and celebration posts was a $6,800 mistake that taught me there's a dark side to the multiple streams of income advice nobody talks about. You know how everyone and their Instagram famous dog preaches about diversification? Don't put all your eggs in one basket, they say, smiling from their perfectly lit home office. What they conveniently leave out is how quickly those baskets can become bowling balls tied to your ankles. Let me tell you about my biggest financial flop. I decided to launch a membership community platform after seeing other creators rake in consistent monthly revenue. The math looked amazing on paper. Just 100 members at $27 per month would mean an extra $2,700 monthly. Easy, right? Wrong. So very, very wrong. First came the tech costs. I spent $1,200 on a fancy platform that promised all the bells and whistles. Then another $800 on a web designer to make it look professional. I hired a virtual assistant for $1,500 to help set up systems and automations. Then came $1,300 for a launch strategist who guaranteed their approach would work. I dumped $2,000 into Facebook and Instagram ads targeting my ideal members. Grand total before making a single dollar, $6,800. The launch day came and I was practically refreshing my email every 30 seconds waiting for the membership notifications to flood in. Except, they didn't. By the end of launch week, I had exactly 7 members. At $27 each, that's $189 monthly. Nowhere near enough to cover even the ongoing costs, let alone recoup my investment. But here's where it gets really messy. Instead of recognizing the warning signs, I doubled down. I just need to give it more time, I told myself, even as those 7 members started dropping off. Maybe I need better content, I thought. So I spent another 20 hours per week creating extra resources that nobody was asking for. This is the sunk cost fallacy in living color, folks. I was so fixated on what I'd already invested that I couldn't see I was throwing good money and time after bad. I was emotionally attached to making it work because I'd already told everyone about my exciting new community. The worst part? This failing project started pulling energy and attention from my actually profitable income streams. My YouTube content got rushed and less thoughtful. I missed affiliate promotion opportunities because I was too busy creating content for a ghost town membership. My coaching clients got less of my mental bandwidth. Within 3 months, my overall monthly income had dropped by 22% across all streams. That's right. Not only was the new income stream not making money, it was actively shrinking my existing revenue. I realized I had to make a tough call, but my ego wasn't having it. What will people think if I shut it down? I'll look like such a failure. So I let it limp along for another 2 months, draining more resources. The turning point came when I sat down and analyzed opportunity cost for the first time. I tracked every hour spent on the membership and calculated what that same hour would have earned if I'd put it toward my proven income streams. The numbers were shocking. I was essentially paying myself about $4 an hour to maintain this failing project when my effective hourly rate in my coaching business was over $300. That was my come to Jesus moment. I sent an email to the remaining 3 members, yes, we were down to 3, offering them 6 months of free access to my digital products as an apology for closing the community. Then I pulled the plug. You want to know what happened next? My income bounced back within 60 days. My existing income streams actually grew once they had my full attention again. And most surprisingly, nobody cared that I had failed. Not a single person emailed to ask what happened to the membership. Not one. This whole expensive disaster taught me something crucial about diversification. It only works when it's strategic. Many creators experience failures in income streams because they lack strategic planning and understanding of their audience's needs. I had fallen into exactly that trap. What I needed was a decision-making framework for evaluating opportunities, not just excitement and FOMO driving my business decisions. So I developed a series of questions I now ask before starting any new income stream. 1. Does this directly serve an existing, proven need in my audience, not just something I think they might want? 2. What's the minimum viable test I can run before investing significant resources? 3. What specific metrics will tell me it's working or failing within 30 days? 4. How much time will this regularly require, and which existing activities will I need to reduce? 5. What's my clear exit strategy if the metrics aren't met? This framework has completely transformed how I approach new opportunities. For example, when I considered creating a new course last year, I pre-sold it to gauge interest before building anything. Only 12 people signed up during the pre-sale window, so I refunded them all and shelved the idea, saving myself thousands in potential losses. The truth is, not all income streams deserve your energy. Sometimes the best business decision is saying no to a good opportunity so you can say yes to a great one, or simply to protect the success you've already built. Flexibility became my new superpower. Instead of stubbornly sticking with failing projects, I learned to adapt based on performance metrics and audience feedback. I began tracking everything religiously, not just revenue, but time investment, audience engagement, and personal enjoyment of each income stream. Some of my biggest failures stemmed from not adequately researching my target market before launching. I was creating solutions for problems my audience didn't actually have. Or worse, problems they didn't care enough about to pay for solutions. So what was my biggest failure when trying to build multiple income streams? It wasn't the membership platform itself. It was ignoring the early warning signs because I was too emotionally invested in the outcome. It was failing to establish clear metrics for success and failure up front. And most importantly, it was not listening closely enough to what my audience was actually asking for versus what I wanted to sell them. The real cost wasn't just the $6,800, it was the opportunity cost of what I could have created instead. It was the energy drain that affected my existing business. It was the mental toll of watching something fail in slow motion while pretending everything was fine. Here's what I know now. True diversification isn't about having the most income streams. It's about having the right ones. It's about creating a portfolio of revenue sources that complement each other rather than compete for your limited time and energy. Your 90-day roadmap: building multiple income streams from scratch. If I lost everything tomorrow and had to start from scratch, I wouldn't panic. I'd follow a specific game plan that contradicts what most gurus are teaching. True diversification isn't about juggling a dozen income streams from day one. It's about strategically building the right ones in the right order. Let me share what I'd actually do if I was starting with nothing but determination and a Wi-Fi connection. And spoiler alert, the first income stream I'd focus on might surprise you because it's not what most successful creators started with. Most beginners make the same mistake I did, trying to launch everything simultaneously and ending up overwhelmed. When you're starting from zero, you don't need 5 income streams right away. You need one solid foundation that can fund the others. Let's address the elephant in the room. Starting is scary. You're probably thinking, but I don't have an audience, or I don't have technical skills, or, my personal favorite, I'm not an expert at anything. Trust me, I had all these thoughts too. The good news, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to be a few steps ahead of someone. So here's my exact 90-day plan if I was starting over with 0 followers and 0 budget. Month 1. Niche selection and affiliate marketing foundation. I'd start by finding a profitable niche with genuine affiliate opportunities. Remember, a well-defined niche is absolutely crucial here. Data shows that affiliate marketers who focus on specific high-paying niches have significantly better conversion rates than those who take a shotgun approach. For the first 2 weeks, I'd use free tools like Google Trends and Google Ads' Keyword Planner to evaluate demand and competition in potential niches. I wouldn't just pick something I'm passionate about. I'd pick something with proven buyer intent. By week 3, I'd set up a simple website using a free WordPress theme. Nothing fancy, just a homepage, an about page, and a blog. This doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. My priority would be joining affiliate programs relevant to my niche, focusing on those with commission rates above 20% or fixed payments of at least $30 per conversion. The final week would be dedicated to creating my first 3 pieces of content: detailed, helpful reviews, or comparison posts for products with affiliate programs. These wouldn't be fluffy everything is amazing reviews. They'd be honest, detailed breakdowns that actually help people make decisions. Month 2, email list building and content creation. This is where I'd majorly differ from most advice out there. Instead of chasing social media followers, I'd focus almost exclusively on building an email list. Why? Email marketing consistently delivers an ROI of $42 for every dollar spent, making it one of the most effective tools for beginners. I'd create a simple but valuable lead magnet, maybe a checklist, template, or mini guide, and offer it in exchange for email addresses. Then, I'd set up a basic 5-part welcome sequence that builds trust while subtly promoting affiliate products. By week 6, I'd aim to have at least 100 email subscribers. That's the minimum viable audience you need to start seeing real results. With even this tiny list, you can generate your first affiliate commissions if you've chosen products that genuinely solve problems for your audience. During this month, I'd also create 8 to 10 more pieces of content, focusing on helpful, problem-solving articles that naturally incorporate affiliate links. Each piece would include an invitation to join my email list. Here's what most people miss. When it comes to affiliate marketing, conversion rates typically range from 0.5% to 1%, with rates between 1% and 5% considered good. But email subscribers convert at 3 to 5 times the rate of casual website visitors. That's why building this asset early is so critical. Month 3, digital product creation and audience expansion. Only in month 3 would I start creating my first digital product. By now, I'd have enough audience feedback to know exactly what problems they need solved. I'd create a simple product priced between $27 and $47, maybe a comprehensive guide, template pack, or mini course. For beginners, platforms like Teachable and Gumroad are perfect because they have user-friendly interfaces and strong support for digital sales. I'd spend about 3 weeks creating the product, making sure it delivers real value and solves a specific problem. The final week would be dedicated to launching the product to my email list, which by now should be around 250 to 300 subscribers if you've been consistent with content and lead generation. Even with this modest list size, a well-positioned product can generate $500,000 in its first launch. The best part? This income is completely yours. No splitting revenue with affiliates or platforms. This is also the month I'd start exploring platforms like YouTube or a podcast, but only after my website, email system, and first product are established. The reason is simple. These platforms take longer to monetize, but they're powerful for expanding your reach long term. Now here's the part that most people don't tell you about building multiple income streams. The sequencing matters more than the speed. Many successful creators who built multiple streams in their first year actually started with focused attention on one primary stream, like affiliate marketing, before expanding. Why this 90-day plan works when others fail. 1. It focuses on income-generating activities from day one instead of vanity metrics. 2. It builds complementary streams that enhance each other. Your email list boosts both affiliate sales and your product launches. 3. It keeps startup costs minimal, under $200 total for hosting, email service, and basic tools. 4. It creates assets you own, email list, website, products, rather than building exclusively on platforms you don't control. By the end of 90 days, you won't have 5 fully developed income streams. And that's the point. You'll have laid the groundwork for sustainable growth, with your first 2 streams generating actual revenue, which you can then reinvest into expanding the others. Most importantly, this approach avoids the overwhelm that kills most beginners' momentum. Each month builds on the previous one in a logical sequence that makes sense for someone starting from zero. The beautiful thing about this strategy is the compounding effect. Your email list continues growing while you sleep. Your content keeps attracting affiliate commissions long after you've published it. Your digital products sell without requiring your constant presence. If you stick with this 90-day plan, month 4 is when you can start exploring sponsorships with brands in your niche. Even with a small but engaged audience, you can secure your first $200-300 sponsorship deals. By month 6, coaching or consulting becomes viable as you've established credibility through your content and products. The income stream that changed everything. While those first sponsorship deals might seem like the ultimate win, they actually paved the way for something much bigger in my journey. Would you believe that my most transformative income stream wasn't the one bringing in the fattest paychecks each month? The truth about which revenue source actually changed my entire business model might totally flip your priorities upside down. Here's something most YouTube gurus won't tell you. All income streams serve different purposes in your business ecosystem. We get so caught up in the raw numbers that we completely miss the bigger picture. I learned this lesson the hard way, and it completely changed how I look at building my business. Let's get real for a second. When I first started tracking my multiple income streams, I was obsessed with total dollars. My sponsorships were bringing in the most cash, so naturally I considered them my most valuable income stream. But after tracking my business growth for over a year, I noticed something surprising. The income stream that transformed everything was my digital products. Digital products became the seeds that grew into an entire forest of opportunity. While my sponsorships were like flashy flowers that looked impressive but required constant tending, my digital products were putting down roots, strengthening the soil, and creating an ecosystem where everything else could thrive. When evaluating income properly, you need to look beyond monthly payouts to 3 key metrics. Stability. How consistent is the income? Scalability. Can it grow without eating up more of your time? And passive income potential. Does it keep making money while you sleep? My digital products absolutely crushed it in all 3 categories. Once created, they continued, selling without requiring much additional effort. Talk about the ultimate financial BFF. While sponsorships brought in bigger chunks of cash, they required constant negotiation and new content creation. My digital products kept selling even during weeks when I was too burned out to create anything new. The global e-learning market is projected to hit $840 billion by 2030, representing a massive opportunity for creators who position themselves correctly. My digital products tapped into this growing demand, providing a sustainable long-term income source compared to platforms that could change their algorithms overnight. But here's where it gets really interesting. I discovered what I call the authority multiplier effect. When people bought my digital products and got results, they became significantly more likely to purchase other things I recommended. As one customer told me, "After your course helped me double my channel subscribers, I trusted every tool you suggested. You weren't just another YouTuber with affiliate links, you were the person who actually helped me succeed." The same audience that was converting at 1% for affiliate offers before my digital product launches jumped to 4 to 5% afterward. My expertise was validated, trust skyrocketed, and suddenly every other income stream benefited. During that terrifying month when an algorithm change tanked my primary income source by 67%, my digital products barely took a hit. While YouTube ad revenue and sponsorships plummeted, digital product sales actually increased by 12%. My audience still needed solutions regardless of YouTube's algorithm mood swings. Successful creators who build resilient business models combine multiple income streams with complementary effects. My digital products strengthened my affiliate marketing, which provided more social proof for my coaching services. It's a beautiful ecosystem where each part supports the others. When I compared hourly return on investment across all my income streams, digital products blew everything else away. After the initial creation investment, my effective hourly rate was astronomical, hundreds of dollars per hour when averaged over the product's lifetime. My super engaged 15% who purchased digital products actually accounted for over 60% of my total business revenue when factoring in their subsequent purchases. These weren't just customers, they became my business foundation. Digital products also provided incredible audience insights. Every purchase showed me exactly what problems my audience would pay to solve, guiding all my content creation. This direct feedback shaped my YouTube strategy, attracting more ideal audience members and creating an upward spiral of growth. The rise of AI and machine learning is making it easier to connect with audiences too. After implementing basic targeting for my digital product offers, I saw a 32% increase in conversion rates, showing the right products to the right segments at exactly the right time. While sponsorships technically brought in 29% of my monthly income compared to digital products at 26%, the products became my true foundation. They required minimal maintenance, had profit margins over 90%, and strengthened every other income stream. If I could go back, I would have created my first digital product much earlier. I waited until I felt ready, which cost me thousands in potential income, and delayed building that crucial foundation of loyal customers who would support every aspect of my business. As I wrap up today's journey, remember that financial independence isn't about hitting the lottery. It's about strategically building multiple income streams that create security when one ebbs and others flow. Email marketing's impressive $36 to $40 ROI per dollar invested demonstrates why diversification matters. Michael Kwan applied this principle through investments and side hustles to retire at 36, creating long-term stability. Ready to begin? Download my income stream starter kit with templates for all 5 streams we covered. You'll get step-by-step guides and planning tools to start building your first stream and develop the confidence to create new ones whenever life throws